So I'm here today with Reverend Mike Warner, my dear friend, and the inventor, the creator, the genius behind emptying the attic of emotionality. Welcome, Mike.
I'm glad to be here. I don't know I need all those adjectives, but I'll accept it for now.
Well deserved, my friend. Well deserved. So we did a session of his emptying the attic of emotionality about a month ago with some phenomenal results. And I wanted to have Mike come back and just answer a few questions, do some clarity so that the world can better understand what this phenomenal process is that he's created. Because, oh my gosh, we need it now more than ever. So do you just want to speak in a succinct little bite about what this process is so people will understand it?
Well, basically, what I want people to know is that I found that one of the seldom accessed chakras can be one of the most important things for us to know about when we're having emotional overwhelm. And that chakra is the back heart chakra. Now, if you ever read about chakras, you'll see a beautiful image and you see 7 chakras down the front of the body. Well, this is not the chakras I'm talking about. I'm talking about the flip side of the body. And on the back of the body, middle way down, where your heart chakra is on the front, there is what we call the back heart chakra. And that is an interesting area. It's part of the chakra, but it has its own aspect, its own dynamics. And the back heart chakra feeds the front heart chakra. It feeds the physical heart. But many of us have lousy energetic feng shui in our back heart chakras because they're stuck with all kinds of bits of relationships and energies from traumatic times and pieces of our life. And it all gets jammed up there. And when energy can't get through the back heart chakra as well as it's designed to, then it can't nurture the front heart chakra as well as it's designed to. And it can't nurture the physical heart as well as it's designed to. So all I'm simply saying is, and I'm aware of this, and I've been working with people to clean their back heart chakras. I can do that different ways. And when you clean the back heart chakra, you allow that space in there to receive fresh energy to nurture the back heart, the front heart, the whole heart. And that's good because that's the ebb and the flow of heart energy, which is pivotal to our emotional balance and our peace of mind and our ability to function in the world.
So people would walk away from a session with a lot of gunk cleared out, now with space and ready to move in a more powerful way in their lives.
Well, there's no guarantees because the session involves the divine, which I invoke when I work with someone. It involves the participant, the person who has the issue they want to clear, and it involves me. Okay. Now, I do my best to channel people thinking and focus into an optimal situation where they can shift. And people need to be receptive to shift. They need to be receptive to rethinking things in their life, to rethinking circumstances, to rethinking forgiveness. Because forgiveness is such a powerful thing. But you don't necessarily have to forgive completely to move forward. You can forgive enough where you cut out that obstacle that you're creating by holding that pattern of lack of forgiveness, and custom design how much you forgive and how much you don't forgive, and how much you're willing to bring light into the darkness of whatever it is that you're concerned about.
So when you're talking, yeah, that helps. Absolutely. You're talking about the chakras, and a lot of people are familiar with them and perhaps have even had chakra clearings. So if they had a full chakra clearing, would that get to the back heart?
Well, you use the word full chakra clearing. To many people, they think that they have a full chakra clearing when someone works on their heart chakra in the front. Well, I draw the distinction between the front heart chakra and the back heart chakra, even though they're both part of the heart chakra.
Mhm.
So they have a little bit different functions. And the big thing is that you energize the front heart through the back heart. If I was to energize your front heart, I could be causing problems. I don't want to do that. I want to go with the flow of the design of the way that you were built to work, and I was built to work, and everybody else was built to work. So I just work on cleansing the back heart chakra and tidying all that stuff up there. And if there's energetic cords and people want them cut, I can help with that. And other particular remnants of emotional traumas or experiences that people just haven't been able to get rid of because they think too much about it and hold on to it, when the answer is really to not think about it and let it go. Because when you had a bad night 10 years ago, you don't need to relive that. When you had a car accident 5 years ago and it's been around and around in your head, you don't need to replay that. Sort of like if you were an editor of a video program or an audio program, and there was a piece of tape that you didn't like, you just cut that tape out and splice it together and let your circle play, let your tape play. And that's what I encourage people to do when they have blips in their life, is just to cleanse the stuff that's no longer serving them. And let me help them. Or let others help them that have the ability to clean the back heart chakra.
So I know that you do a lot of different healing modalities.
Yeah.
What was it that drew you to being a healer in this life?
Well, when I was 11 years old, my father died from cancer, and that got my attention. I was struck by the kindness of Burholm Emergency Medical Service, which was, well, back then it was called Burholm First Aid Corps, was the community ambulance where I lived in Fox Chase, Philadelphia. And they would come and take my father for his cancer treatments and when he was in an emergency status and what have you. And they were the most awesomely kind people that I'd ever seen before in my whole life. And it's critical for people to have kind people around when they're having medical issues. And that stuck with me. And when I came back from Vietnam, I noticed that it also stuck with my mother because she was volunteering at the same place that I was just talking about. Because she was all worried about me being in Vietnam. So she felt that she had to get involved in the community something just to get out of the house and not be thinking about me getting shot up in Vietnam. So, so I joined the organization and she dropped out, because I was home and she didn't really have the need anymore. But I joined the organization. I was so impressed. And, I'm on the board of directors of that organization now, 53 years later. And I had served them many years along the way. And I had a professional career in ambulance service also. I had 25 years, I had my own company. And that's an up and down business, like all healthcare. It's a difficult issue to run. But Burholm is a nonprofit, nonprofit, non-municipal service, which has its own special interests and special consequences. But it just, serving people was what appealed to me. And I just focused for 25 years. I had an ambulance company. And along the way, I was interested in learning. I worked for the Medical Mission Sisters as a teacher of Reiki and integrated energy therapy and dowsing. I was on the school, part of the School of Integrated Body Mind Therapies there until 2008 when it closed. because there were some shakeups in the belief systems of the church related to spiritual healing. And anyhow, I continue. I'm still doing all that stuff. But in 2019, I thought I was invited to a demo of chronic healing. So I went. I thought, I can't learn anything here. I know all this stuff because I've been doing angel work for over 20 years and Reiki for over 25 years and yada, yada. Well, in 2019, I got surprised with the chronic healing. So I went to a demo. Next, I wanted to have a session. After the session, I wanted to take a class. After I took the class, then I wrote a book about it because I was writing a series of books about cancer at the time. And so I was talking about chronic healing for cancer. It's my Cancer Glue series, which is still on YouTube. And anyhow, I did that. And then I started just doing chronic healing little by little. And now I've taken many more courses and I really got into it. Chronic healing is deep, deep, deep. I mean, you can go as deep as you want or as shallow as you want. The deeper I went, I got all the way into like 5 big courses in. And I learned about the back heart chakra. And this discovery to me was like finding gold. Because this is what our veterans need. They need to get that back heart chakra empty, and so that they can think and to process the overwhelm that they've experienced in their lives. Now, this is not going to be true for everybody, but I met a lot of people, and I've worked with a lot of people, and it just makes a difference. And I just recently wrote a book. It's available on chronichealing.xyz under the Veterans tab, the second tab. You can drop down there and this is the book for veterans, Open the Attic of Emotionality for Veterans. And it's all there. It's all free all the time, 24/7. Get it, read it, learn it.
We'll put a link so that people will be able to easily find it. So you mentioned your time in Vietnam. Is that what left you with this burning desire to help veterans? Because so much of your work is geared towards veterans.
My interest at that time was more related to healing in general, not just veterans. And I was, the ambulance work I was doing was primarily general ambulance work. I did a lot of work for the American Oncologic Hospital, which is predated the Fox Chase Cancer Center location now, and community ambulance in Northeast Philadelphia. And things are a lot different now than they were then. And so anyhow, I progressed, and ambulance became a career for me. And then I didn't want to be in the career because it wasn't as helpful or as fulfilling for me to do the admin, to run the company, as it was to do the work on the streets with the people. So then I sold the company in 2001, and I've been pursuing a lot ever since. I started teaching for the medical medicine sisters and doing a lot of other things and studying, moving along my path. In 2019, chronic healing was a big step forward, and the back heart chakra, which basically settled in with me last year, at the end of last year, and I introduced it at Salute to Service. And you know, I have Mondays with Mike every week. It's all talked about in the book that I referenced, and they come and talk to me, and we'll see what we can do. And I have like 17 people signed up to help me reach people that are ready, but I can't make any guarantees. There's too many people need this stuff, and I just don't have enough of me to go around. So send me an email, contact me. If you're gonna want to attend Mondays with Mike, email me at that head for the link. If I have capacity to handle your request, I will.
I want to know why it's in your heart to focus your work on veterans, because emptying the attic of emotionality is huge. It's for everybody. Why, whenever you talk about it, is it just veterans you're focused on?
Because I think veterans have the biggest need for it to access the back heart and clear it out, because they have an overwhelming situation where they were brought up to be a good Christian or Jew or Protestant or whatever they were by their family, and then they joined their national service organization, Army, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Navy, whatever, and they're taught other stuff. So these two disciplines conflict. And then they go along, and then they get dumped out of the service with not much preparation work at all. And they're out, and they're back in society. And we don't realize why they can't find jobs, and why they can't feel that they fit in, why they can't overcome their troubles, why they're homeless, why they're this, why they're that. There's 17 veterans a day committing suicide, over 6,000 every year. I have joined the coalition of the Veterans Administration for Mental Health and Suicide Prevention, and trying to back these numbers down, because it is, to me, an energy problem, not a medical problem. And if we clean up the energy hygiene, we can allow the natural order to find its balance again. So we can reach that homeostasis, so that these veterans can be open to all the skills of all the practitioners that the VA has hired to help them, who just can't get it because they're not connecting enough. So, does that answer the question?
I think so. So here's my disconnect.
Okay.
You were in Vietnam. So my mind took the leap that something you experienced there caused you to have an open heart towards helping other veterans. But the way you just answered the question, it doesn't seem like those two lines connect. What was the connection? Just knowing about the statistics?
Well, no, but have you ever run for your life?
Yes, I have.
Okay. But when you live a year in a place at any time of the day or night, you can need to do that, because stuff happens, and it just gets your awareness to feel that those that have been hurt in the circumstances that you've survived deserve as much help as can be given to them.
So it is connected to your experience.
Yes, but it's not like I saw one particular person die and that, it's just
No, I don't mean that.
total
I
experience.
mean the energy of being there, having experienced it, having that connection, understanding at least somewhat what they're going through. And you came back out of it and you've lived a very full life, but a lot of them didn't. They got left behind.
That's true.
And in this country, it's been my observation that veterans from all time are throwaways. It's almost like the country wishes they didn't come back alive so they wouldn't have to deal with them.
Well, a big thing for me was we never got welcomed back. When we came back from Vietnam, it was not exactly a cause for celebration in the communities. It's like we were being shamed a bit for serving in the military. why weren't we smart enough to get out of having to serve and that kind of stuff. And that's the hypocrisy of some of the dynamics in our country. But it's also there's a justice, there's a fairness, there's a just a call for kindness. And I don't think that the healthcare industry understands the disconnect that I'm talking about, because it's Eastern type of stuff and it's not Western type of stuff. And what I'm saying basically is the Eastern key to veterans is the access to the treasure trove of what the VA is put there to serve them with. Because they can accept the help because they can release the emotional baggage that's piled up at the door at the back of their heart. It can be gangbusters. I wrote in the book about one guy who came to me who wrote on Facebook that in one session with me, and he broke through 80% of his depression and his pain. Well, when he came to me, he was getting up in the middle of the night and punching his thighs to try to get the pain to go away. Well, you know, that was a beautiful testament to read. But the reality of it is I gave him temporary relief, you know, until we could get him aligned differently. And he came back to me, he wasn't fixed then. You know, he came back in another 10 days or so and we did some more work. But if you talk to that man now, he's an advanced pranic healer himself.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
You know, because he knows what he needs to do for himself. And it's aligning his energy, taking charge of his thinking, taking charge of his opportunities to connect with the resources that are out there. You know, when you're overwhelmed and the world's batting you down, you just want to hide.
Yes.
That's not the answer. You got to get up. You got to move forward. And if you empty the back hearts of the veterans, they could really make a big difference. No. That's my story, and I keep it to it.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Is there anything that you would like to share as kind of a wrap up?
Yes. Having discovered this back heart work, only when I was writing this book did I discover that my experience on my first demo or my first session, my back heart work was what I needed desperately. I needed to have that back heart clear. And I didn't realize that until I was writing this book. But it made all the difference in the world for me. And I just want to give other people the opportunity to know it can be done. Now, it's the book gives you all the specifics. As it stands, you need to go to a professional. But, you know, I'm giving it away for free, and other people have offered to help me, but I'm sure there's not enough of us to do it for everybody, every veteran in the world that wants it. But if you share the book is free on chronichealing.xyz. It's also available on Kindle. It's also available on Amazon in print. And it's the stories out there. You get the story and share the story and let people know that they don't have to suffer. Hope is such a powerful thing. If people have hope, they can say, oh, well, let me try that. I never heard of that. That's strange stuff. That's woo-woo. That's crazy. Yeah, but who cares if it works? And it works. And besides the veteran who I talked about, Gary, who got that 80% reduction in one session. There's another story of a friend of mine, Laura, and she had revelation in her life.
That was lightning. Whoa. And that's what Laura's session was like, because I saw her face after she had that session. It was like, boom.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And we had another session, and it's like the veil lifted for her. And,
Yeah.
and she's looking so much more youthful and more free than I've known her for years, and through this mastermind group I belong to. And she's just an awesome lady. But now she's a free awesome lady. She's free of limiting stuff that was holding her back. So I
Yeah,
was happy with her.
I think I told you after our session, the big thing I noticed immediately that was really phenomenal. It felt like I had more space inside. To me, being a fan of Doctor Who, I immediately saw the TARDIS because it's this little blue police box. But when you walk inside, it's a spaceship that's huge. And the running joke is it's bigger on the inside than the outside. I felt like the TARDIS, like I was huge and had all this maximum space inside.
Well, that's your soul expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was immediate.
Because your physical self was not clamped down, pressuring you. You were relaxed, you were settled, you were fully you.
So you're bringing the gift of freeing people from so much of that junk, the clutter that holds them down. Then they get to create the next chapter of their story, which is a phenomenal gift to the world. Yes, your heart is in it to share with veterans, but it is something that's useful for everybody. So our purpose in talking today is to get the word out, to let people know this exists. And they can get in touch with you. If you don't have availability immediately, you can work something out, but it's a tool that's available.
Well, even in in the neighborhoods, there's suggestions about organizations that you look for in different neighborhoods to be aligned with this kind of energetic clearing. And if it's something that attracts you and you start going to the events and things, and you hone in on where is it what you're looking for, you keep looking and you'll find it.
So you're giving great hope and possibility to the masses, which is beautiful. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing this, and thanks for your time and efforts and skills.
My pleasure. Absolutely. That concludes the official interview with Mike, but I still had a lot of questions. If you're like me and you are curious and would like to learn more, stick around and listen to the bonus footage. When you're doing that work, there you are, you're waving your crystal. Sometimes your eyes are open, sometimes your eyes are closed. Do you see energetic shifts as you're doing this, either with your eyes open or closed?
I never know what I'm going to experience, and I'm sometimes very surprised, and always asking, well, what's that mean? And that kind of, and it's just, and I don't know that everybody gets that, but that's what I get.
Yeah.
Because I'm always looking for congested. I'm always looking for overwhelmed. Because congestion is when things are not moving fast enough to be normal, and overwhelm is where things are moving too fast and you can't function because you're overstimulated.
But so you're not visually seeing colors or anything like that when you're doing the work. I was just curious about how that was for you.
Well, sometimes I project colors and I see them then.
Okay.
I project colored rays coming out of my crystal because I will think red, and red will come out of my crystal.
And you also, you are feeling in your body, or you're feeling it in your consciousness, the blocks and the energy shifts.
I can.
Is that something you can expound upon a little bit?
The density or lack thereof. A typical thing would be if someone is all cramped down emotionally and they can't speak their truth. That heavy residue of being unable to speak your truth sits in your throat, and your throat chakra and your secondary throat chakra, and they can feel very, very thick, almost like cementish. But when you pull them out, they come out.
Mhm. So when I'm channeling for somebody, sometimes I will feel like I have to clear my throat, like I actually physically feel it. Is that how it is for you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you are using your entire body, almost like a sonar.
That's interesting. I don't think of it in those terms, but I get the receptivity. I get a perspective within me of what I'm feeling within the one I'm working on.
Mhm.
Yes.
But it's like your entire body is a sensory field.
Well, I'm doing scanning of their energy field to bring in information so that I can gauge whether they're in a normal alignment or whether things are off the mark.
So you might identify things that they weren't aware of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's important. And when you say scanning, the logical mind would probably think you're scanning with your eyes. It's a visual thing, but I don't think that's what you mean.
No, I scan with my hands.
So your hands are
I scan the energy fields. I feel the density of the energy fields also.
So I get a visual of you as like this music conductor.
That's sweet.
You're conducting the energy. So it's an energy conductor, right? You're the energy conductor.
Well, a conductor is not really doing music. He's
guiding it, which is what
guiding
he's doing with the energy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And energy conductivity is something people understand.
Yes.
So in your process of emptying the attic of emotionality, you are conducting energy.
I really like the word facilitating, the flow of energy.
Okay.
Like if your throat chakra is blocked and I'm cleansing your throat chakra, then I'm inviting the energy that should come out of there to come out of there.
There's no forcing. It's
Right.
very gentle.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, during the whole process, I just felt very subtle shifts, if I felt anything at all.
Yeah. Subtle is the perfect word. It's subtle energy.
Yeah. So there was no discomfort involved at all.
There can be for some people sometimes.
Interesting. Like if they're trying to hold on to it as you're releasing?
Well, no, perhaps the opposite also, where they're trying to push it out and they're going faster than it all out.
Okay.
So
So almost like a panic.
subtle is important. Subtle, natural, orderly flow is the kind of thing we're looking for. Not a push, not a not aggressive.
Yeah, no forcing.
Right.
Yeah, and that's perfect with energy. It always should be flow.
Subtle, and it's so sweet. It's sort of like when you try too hard to poop and you can't because your mind's all clamping down on your body, and you just, hell the hell with it. I'll sit here for 10 minutes and 3 minutes later you're doing, because you unlock the minds around that being a problem. So Mother Nature facilitated.
So are you recommending emptying the attic of emotionality for constipated people?
Not especially. It can have something to do there, but it's not like something I would focus on. It's
I'm
about
just teasing you.
Yeah, I know, but and teasing there is great prodding that allows one to think in different directions than one would normally think.
Yeah.
So prod away.
Yeah, well, it's I think a big part of what you're talking about is coming to the table for the healing session with an open mind. Being open to allowing it to proceed in whatever way it needs to.
Not just an open mind. It's about receptivity, and it's about participation, and it's an awareness of the divine being called in, and the degree or the control of the process is actually in the hands of the recipient, to the degree that they will allow the ebb and the flow of the energy. I can go at pretty much whatever rate they want to go, as long as they're right with the divine and me in the collaboration and the flow. Because if they say, I want everything fixed right in this instant, but they're not yet open their receptivity, it ain't gonna work. It's all about them being in balance and harmony and peace with their facilitator, with the mind, and with their own psychological balance. Because a lot of people are yes, no, yes, no.
Yeah.
And yes, no is going to be very low on the productivity scale. So regardless of how many sessions you go to, if you're not receptive, you're not receptive. And it's just going to be lower value than you could achieve. But
So
it's hard to it's harder to work with the scientific minds, so to speak, that wants to nail everything down than it is the amicable person that just wants to feel in alignment. These people who are amicable, they just want to feel in alignment. They can catch my balance and the balance of the energy and see how that resonates with their energy. But the scientific mind is always trying to analyze and pick it apart and yada, yada, yada. And that just does not further the cause.
is there anything that you would recommend they do before having a session to make sure that they got the most from the session?
Just be aware of what they want from the session, how receptive they are, whether they are ready to deal with this now, or is there a hidden agenda that they don't want to deal with that stands in the way of them getting what they want. If they know they're not willing to forgive their ex-spouse for some issue, and yet they want to talk about clearing their back heart, but they know at the same time they're not willing to release that, then it's just not going to optimize. They may get some relief, but it's not going to be the optimal relief that they could have if they were willing to forgive. Because forgiveness doesn't say, I forgive you, for what you did forever, because you just forgive the episode, but you hold on to the awareness of what was done so that you don't step into that same trap again. So many of the people that are looking to move forward are looking to move forward on the same terms, and they're going to get the same results unless they're willing to change enough to allow the possibility for a different outcome.
Yeah.
Because it's your life. If you're not going to allow change, you're not going to get it.
Do you find that the people who come to you most of the time are ready and receptive to what you have to offer? Because I would assume that that's who you would attract.
I do find that most of the people that come to me are ready to move forward. And the question I have is, how far do you want to go? How ready are you?
Mhm.
And I will be candid with people, and their answers impact on what kind of goals we're setting for the session. You know, if they're dragging their feet, then I have to go along with that, or not treat them, you know. And if you're looking for the treatment, you have a need. And having that need, that's what you want. And we can get there if you step up and be adult enough to be absolute and not to hide in your answers. Yes, no, I will, I won't. Absolutes allow us to communicate and say, I'll do that, but I won't do this. And then we can make progress. And then when you make some progress, then you can move forward later again when you've had some peace of time where you could settle out and reframe.
If you had to sum up your modality, emptying the attic of emotionality, in 2 sentences, what would you say?
I would say, and I'm happy to report, there is an access area, a key to opening the box that holds so many people prisoner to their emotions. When they're willing and ready to do it, it's there. This is what I have found out. I can work with people and we can get there. The question is always, how much do you want it? And how willing are you to change? And when you're willing to change, you can make giant strides. And even if you have problems with 10 people and you change just one of those relationships, you can impact on the others because you have more ability to tolerate the others because you're not as jammed up as you were. And you can work on another relationship and further down the line, it will progressively smooth out different aspects of your life, different parts of your perspective, different stumble points. And when you have the ability to know that you have a solid foundation, and you'll be all right regardless if nobody shows up for this, that, or the other thing, and you can still do what you want to do. You know, if I had to survive by writing books, I wouldn't be doing so many. You know what I mean? I'd have to have a job that would be drudgery. But now I write books that Spirit tells me to write because I want to do it.
Yeah.
And it can have a lot of meaning for some people. And I may never have any idea how much good it does, but it doesn't matter. I'm doing myself purpose. So I'm in perfect alignment.
Yeah, for all of us, it's, I think, about leaning into what our purpose is at the highest level that we're able. And I've always known that the soul introduction, for instance, is a magical transformative process. I mean, just when I deliver it, I get such an energy hit from sharing with somebody about how phenomenal they are in the eyes of Creator. Then you take this information, put it on jet fuel, and see what it does in your life. But it's been hard to communicate that, to get people to understand how transformational and why they really should do this. So now, with no change in the way I'm putting myself out there, suddenly people are opening their eyes and saying, wow, this is cool. I need to go do this.
Yes.
So what I want to say is thank you, Mike, because of this fabulous protocol you've created, Emptying the Attic of Emotionality. It's transformed my work. I'm reaching a bigger audience, which is what I'm led to do. And that blesses me, feeds my soul. So honor and thank you to you.
My pleasure. It's just what I wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
Because I see what you have done for me, and I appreciate every bit of it. And if you notice, I'm a frequent flyer at your events.
I've noticed, yes, and appreciate.
Because it's good stuff, and it's just amazing.